So thank everybody for being here. Miss Charlie Austin did make it. She's here. There's kind
Yeah.
of traffic stuff.
Marta bus broke down in front of me. I felt bad for the people on the bus.
Oh my God.
That.
So Charlie is here with us.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So I want to first say that everybody who is in virtual land, everybody's here today. You guys are you're now part of the Cool Club because Talia and I are the presidents of the Cool Club here at MIS. You know, we both her and I, we try to stay abreast on what's going on with students, and you know, we're on different games,
Friends,
they're on
yeah.
Friends and
Lingo.
lingo, and you know, trying to
But the
figure
no
out.
cap.
So yeah, so a couple years ago, we talked about you know, some stuff that was going on in Talia's department with social emotional health, and some effects of social media, some cyberbullying, and how that's creeping inside in our space. And we don't see it to the degree that I know a lot of other schools and some colleagues see it, but we are seeing it, which means you know, that it is definitely prevalent. And we know that while we are a bubble here at MIS, we know that the society still exists and some of those things still creep inside. And so we want to just provide opportunities for you guys. And I know many of you may not be on social media, and we're going to have a little quiz here in a minute, and hopefully you all pass. But so we'll get into it. And so this is going to be really informal. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to just raise your hand and ask any questions whenever you get a chance. You got a question right now?
I kind of do. For my brain, I need to understand what's the school's policy on social media. Is it just whatever happens on campus, or is it what happens also off campus?
No, it's what happens off campus as well.
Yeah,
And so
it's because if it happens off campus and it's impacting the
think
students
it's-
here at school and
Mhm.
their affect, then that needs to be addressed. And that happens a lot, right? Because social media, like, you can't really have your phone out here and like, you know, using all that, but yeah, for sure. That happens, or something happens over the weekend, you know what I mean? And it bleeds into the week.
Right, because I can think about the past, like I know how sometimes, it was only.
What happens in
like,
school.
What happened in
Mhm,
school. And I
yeah.
know even like at a larger school now, it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whatever's happening out there, whatever's affecting our students.
Yeah.
so the question
good
inside
question.
was what
So good.
MIS's policy about social media. Are we just worried about things that happen in school? Are we also concerned about those things that happen outside of school hours? We are definitely, those things that happen outside of school hours impact our day-to-day. And so we look at those things as well. I mean, we've had several incidences that have happened, even a couple before you got here, that have happened outside of school that have impacted the classroom environment. As they get older, as students get older, you can probably imagine that begins to exponentially grow in terms of the impact that happens inside the classroom. So just a little background for those who are in cyberspace who may not be familiar with MIS. We are 12 kids per class, problem-based learning with gifted trained educators, K through 12, established in 2013 with a approximately 1 to 50 counselor ratio. I say that to say that our ratio, our student to counselor ratio is important. It allows us to really address some of these issues very quickly and also very intimately. You know, I've said this to many parents, maybe some who are here, of some who have toured. You know, being at MIS affords me as a head of school and affords Talia as a counselor to be able to know all of our students. So if they are off, you know, with our small class sizes, we are able to know that very quickly, and we are able to react and be very nimble and quick to that reaction. So just a little bit who we are. And so what are we going to do here today? Like, why are we, what are our goals today? Just to bring some awareness to, sorry, you guys who are here who can't see that, I see that green does not look well. But to raise awareness about the potential risk and negative consequences of social media for our teenagers. And we say teenagers, but also knowing that students are receiving phones early and earlier.
Yeah.
And so right now we're talking about tweens and teenagers, but also looking at those younger kids as well, because what we uniformly consider social media does not take in consideration some of the apps and some of the things that younger kids are on that also have some of the same ramifications as some of the social media that we think of social media. So help parents better understand ways that teenagers use social media and the various platforms and apps. Provide parents with some strategies. We'll talk about some strategies and resources later on for monitoring and managing your child's social media use, and to educate parents about the impact of social media on teenagers' social and emotional health. So this may sound like, as we go further, this may sound like we are raising the alarms and we are all hands on deck with a problem that you may not necessarily see right now, and it may create a little anxiety. This is not to be an alarmist, but it is to be a realist and understand that while this may not be happening to your child right now, it is definitely happened to many, many, many children across the country. And so our goal is to figure out how to best support our students in this ever-changing social and digital life. So with that said, we know social media is everywhere. Today, about 95% of teens have cell phone access, right? So with cell phone access, that means that 90% of them also have social media access. 97% of those teens use the internet daily. As someone who controls kind of internet here, if there is an app that is deemed unworthy for a student, a website that is deemed unworthy for our students, there's about 100 others out there that are doing the same thing. It is almost impossible. And there are people whose jobs it is to figure out how to break down the barriers of our kids, right? That's their job. And our kids don't have the wherewithal right now and the mental fortitude to be able to resist a lot of this. And so
Yeah, because mainly also just scientifically, right? We're getting those little dings or notifications and things like that. That's that dopamine in your brain. It signalizes that. And that's like the same thing that happens with anything that makes you feel good. And it could become addictive, and it could become something that, you want more and more and more of. So you spend more and more time on, and then it affects you in different ways. But we'll obviously talk more about that, but also just for those that don't have kids that are teenagers yet, after doing some research for the younger kids, 50% of children from ages 10 to 12 have cell phones and use social media, and 33% of children from ages 7 to 9. So I still think that's pretty high than at least it was when I was like in school.
Is there any way that you could show the people that are on the Zoom?
show them,
Well, just like
show their
them on
faces.
screen.
So no, because I have to share my screen. Yeah. So I have to share my screen. Yeah. So just a little more, a little more OMGs, right? 12 to 17-year-olds, among them approximately 53% have seen pornography, with an average age being 11 and a half years old when that's happened. About 15% of our adolescents have sent a sext or received a sext. So a sext is a text message that has some sort of sexual content in it, whether that be a picture of themselves or a picture of someone else. We have definitely seen students share pictures of other students as well.
Yes.
Yep. 4 in 10 minors, or 40%, said that they have been approached online by someone they believe was attempting to befriend them or manipulate them. And I won't read all this for you, but I think it's very important that we understand that while we are saying teenagers, the grooming process starts very young for a lot of, sick and deviant people. And so, 25% of those 9 to 17-year-olds report having had an online sexual explicit interaction with someone they believe to be an adult. So with that being said, and we're going to talk about a lot about this, but with that being said, it is very important. Back in the day, we could tell our students and our kids, don't talk to strangers. when you're out and you're going to someone's house, do not talk to strangers, right? Well, now the strangers are their friends digitally, and they have to have about 2 to 3 interactions. They believe that this particular person is now their friend after 2 to 3 interactions. And so it is our job to make sure that we're telling our students and our kids that these are not necessarily your friends. You haven't met them, right? I don't know them. And you're not to give them any information about yourself. And we'll see later on kind of the percentage of what students are giving to strangers online. Any questions yet as we move forward?
Particular app or game, for instance, I know Mindspring and Roblox with those kids, they really target those two games, right? Because most kids, some of these age brackets are on.
So
Um,
the age
so-
brackets break down, and as they get older, they begin to delineate between girls and boys, and then ages, right? And so as they get older, they're on more your typical social media sites. And then around the teenage ages, there's in some games, YouTube,
Right.
Twitch,
Yeah.
Snapchat, Discord.
Discord.
Yeah, so it doesn't,
Yeah.
the research does, if you look at Pew did some research, so Pew broke down like ages, and we'll look at some of that too, broke down some ages and where they are sending this and what type of app they're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that with the gaming systems and things like that, playing live, I would say that's more so like cyberbullying. Like if you're a lot of that, like you get on the headset and you can hide your identity and say whatever you want to the other person. And, you know, it's gotten to points where it's like really impacted friendships too. But I think with like this type of the inappropriate exchanges and things like that, we'll go over some apps where you'll see that it could be done in a pretty sly, shady way.
Yeah.
So we'll go over it.
So again, we're about to get into the meat of it. So again, I want to let you know that we are not trying to, we're not
Yeah.
running around the town saying the sky is falling and trying
Yeah,
to, be alarmist, but the
For
sky
real.
is
Yeah.
falling though,
Yeah.
so. All right, so quiz.
All right.
Here's the only quiz we have. What apps on here can you identify? Anybody, and even in virtual land? Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat are definitely on there. What else? No, not Discord. Discord's not on that one.
It's, bottom one is not an app either, it's just a.
It's just the 6 of, yeah, those 6. Yeah. Yeah. And those are some top ones too. So, yeah. We'll tell you, yeah. Yep. So we're going to talk about so social media is, websites and applications that allows users to create and share content or participate in social networking. We'll say this in a little while. I don't think we can, overstate it. I think there is a valid need for your child to connect, right, in this social digital age. So them wanting to be on social media, it's not the problem. It's just how they interact when they're there and the obstacles that are not there to prevent them from finding inappropriate content, inappropriate people. And so this is what we're going to get into. So types of social media. We have some very simple ones, and this is going to go from on a spectrum from, okay, this is kind of bad, but it could be worse to, oh my God, why would they even put this on, in the App Store, right? So we're going to start kind of easy and kind of moderate and mild, but Kik, WhatsApp, Discord, and Telegram are these 4 apps. These are texting apps primarily. You will get a Kik. Kik is you see Kik. Kik is one that allows them to communicate with strangers online. They use their Kik usernames. They're able to chat with people and go into private chat rooms. If you have traveled internationally at all, you probably use WhatsApp. So kids are not necessarily using WhatsApp a lot, but a lot of people, if they have WhatsApp for whatever reason, then there are a lot of people who are not from this country who are using WhatsApp to communicate randomly with people and to randomly text people and randomly, reach out and cold call pretty much through WhatsApp. Discord is a place where kids will go and play video games and stream video games. The problem with Discord is you watch Discord, you watch someone playing a game, and on the side, there's a whole bunch of chat that's there, right? So like Talia said, there's gonna be some cyberbullying that's there, and then you can go into private servers or private rooms. And a lot of times those private rooms are hosted by adults and adults who have nefarious motives. Now, to be fair, there are a lot of them private rooms that do not. So if your child is in video games, there are some that your child could go in and get the need that they desire to be in a place and see someone and learn about this video game and get that entertainment from that way, right? But you run the risk of them being in a place where they should not be with Discord. Telegram, that's the red one. Telegram is it's an anonymous messaging app. It calls itself the most honest place on the internet. It is very popular in middle schools and high schools, and it allows kids to ask and answer questions anonymously. So this is what Talia is saying. They get to hide behind, the internet basically, and kind of say things without. They can throw the stone and hide their hand, basically. You want to talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really been damaging to be able to hide yourself anonymously. And there are other apps that you can kind of create fake accounts, and we'll go over that in a bit. But yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen too, where, students will hide behind a screen, then show up to school like nothing happened, because they have the courage to do and say whatever they want behind closed doors. And then they come here and it's like, they face reality and they're like, oh, I don't have the courage to say that to someone's face.
Yeah.
So.
The thing about Telegram is that it's inconsistent. It says so let's go back a little bit. The Surgeon General just came out and said that he does not think anyone under 14 years old should be on social media because of the developing brain, the developing social self identity,
Self-worth,
self-esteem.
self-esteem.
And so his suggestion, and he has two kids along with who else was in that study? I forgot who else it was. I'm sorry, but he has two kids and talked about just the need for students to be able to develop those things independently of social media. So with that being said, a lot of these apps have inconsistent age requirements. There's some apps that say this is only for 13-year-olds. And so if you're 12 and you put in your age, I guess 13 would be you were born in 2010, not 2009. Yeah. So let's say 2010, right? 2009. If they put 2011, it would default to 2009 because the default age is 13. So it entices them to lie about their age and say, and understand that, hey, we want you here and you can be here and we'll change this for you. So telling them is one of those that's really inconsistent with their age requirements.
If you set up on your phones, right, the family thing, and to ask you for every app to download.
Yeah.
This is what we've always done with our kids.
So we'll get,
There's some great features on your
Oh, yeah,
platform that you can shuttle that down.
Yeah, and we'll go over that with like strategies for parents.
We'll go over that.
yeah,
And then
because-
as they get older, that parents, a lot of the restrictions are alleviated, right? And so then they have a little more,
Wiggle room.
autonomy and independence. And so we'll go over some of those things that that you can do as a parent to kind of combat some of this. So those are kind of some texting apps. And then we get to some of what we call your micro blogging or your photo sharing. Anybody recognize anything there? You know all those? You even know Be Real too?
Yes.
Oh, good. Be Real is.
You know Tumblr?
You know Tumblr? Yeah.
Tumblr is a photo sharing app. The
Mhm.
one downfall of Tumblr is that there are like very, very minimal restrictions on what can be posted there, right?
Yeah.
Like the hashtags and the pictures definitely are, I would say there are even more restrictions on like Instagram, which doesn't say much than there are on
Right.
Tumblr, but
So yes.
yes.
14, they get Tumblr?
I mean,
You can just down.
they could fake their.
No, it's not a
personal account.
dating app. It's a photo sharing app. It came before, it predated Instagram.
Yeah,
Um,
it's older, but.
Yeah, but still. Yeah,
It could be great. Like, I used to love Tumblr, but I've also seen things that, I don't think that, definitely not age appropriate on Tumblr.
on Tumblr, Tumblr is the third icon there, the T. Tumblr is, you can find pornographic videos and pictures. Offensive language is easily searchable on Tumblr. And a lot of these, especially when we're talking about younger kids. So we talk about younger kids and YouTube and Instagram. What happens is you can get from a very benign video on YouTube, and within 10 videos, you can be in
Yeah.
a dark place because of how the video creators tag their videos. So for example, let's just say, I love cooking. I cook a lot, right? And I'm searching for cooking videos, and I'm searching that tag or that hashtag. Well, cooking also references cooking drugs. It's also referencing cooking people in terms of like being mean to them and like roasting them and those type of things. And so if somebody put that in their hashtag, while I started with cooking and I'm making my, lasagna soup, 10th video, now I'm going into some sort of drug paraphernalia or, and
then it shows you the other hashtags that are associated, so you can
Yes.
click on those, get all the
And then
like,
you're done
heroin
with that.
videos.
yes.
Kind of
So even if your child only has access to YouTube, it's very important that you understand that you can set your child up with a YouTube through a parent account, and then you have more control over that. They're only allowed to see content that you deem appropriate. Kids here at MIS they cannot get YouTube on their devices because of their age and because of their MIS student email. We have a Gmail account for all of our emails. And through that, anybody who is younger than 18, everybody who's younger than 18 has the MIS student email account, and that student email account prevents them from accessing YouTube. With that being said, if they have another device at home, if they're older, then they can access it with their personal Gmail. We have Twitter and Instagram. So everybody knows Twitter and all the vitriol that can be spouted through Twitter. That's a very familiar with everyone. And so is Instagram. The thing about Instagram is that if your child has Instagram, you should probably go ask them, do they have a Finsta, which is called a fake Instagram, or ask them, do they have a spam account, right? Because what students will do is create an Instagram account and say, hey, mom, this is my Instagram account. But they may post one or two things there, but they'll have a Finsta, and they use that terminology, Finsta, fake Instagram, or they'll say spam, right? And that is where they will contact their friends. And that's when they will, search the things they want to search for and look at the things they want to look at. And we've had those instances as well, right?
Yeah, and the thing with Finstas is that it makes it so easy to create one, because you can have your main Instagram account and you can add an account linked to your account that's a fake one. So it could be like, here's my main Instagram account. I feel like creating a fake account. I go into my account and I just add another one. So it's not even like I'm creating a whole nother account. It's just a subpart of my main one.
Mhm.
So it's shady, because then you could just like switch it over, and then you press 2 clicks and now you're on your Finstagram. And let's say that you don't want someone at school to know who you are, but you want to make fun of them, and you send them direct messages and pictures and harass them through a fake Instagram account, and they don't know who you are. Like, I've seen that happen in our middle school, and it's been quite damaging to their self-esteem. And it took some work to help them gain, some of that back.
And Instagram also, there's, when we think about self-worth and identity, there's nothing on it. Most of the stuff on Instagram is not real in terms of
Right.
beauty and fashion. And it's,
Mm-mm.
you have people who have had surgery, and there's filters and there's all that, and
Filters, editing. all
that
those
directly
apps.
impacts particularly younger people when they're looking at their self-worth and their identity and their physical aesthetic. and who they are
Yeah.
in reference to what they see on Instagram and thinking that this is normal, this is what I should be looking like, even though, you know, I don't look like that. And how do I do that?
Yeah.
And then we talk about the increase in suicide ideations and suicidal thoughts and students who are suicidal and the
Mhm.
mental health of our students. We've seen a lot of that be traced back to Instagram,
Social media,
social
yeah,
media. Yeah.
like that, you know, the feelings of just inadequacy and like the fear of missing out. Like you think that you're missing out on these people or this group or this event because it's so glamorized on Instagram and people want others to think that their life is so perfect and all this, and it's just inaccurate. And so it, you know, increases like isolation and anxiety and stress and depression. And like Ashley said, like it could even lead to suicide ideation. That's happened directly with students that I've worked with. So yeah, I think there definitely needs to be monitoring around Instagram, and we'll lead into the next big one, which is TikTok.
So I don't know if you guys know this. You know that TikTok was created by the Chinese, right? It is the most popular app right now.
For sure.
The Chinese version of TikTok to kids is all about science and education, and the algorithm pushes all of those good things to the Chinese students. The algorithm here in the US is all about, you know, there's so much sexual content on TikTok. I cannot even begin to explain to you how much is there. There's innuendos, there's dancing, there's there's flashing, there's lingerie. Like it is very, very, very inappropriate. TikTok, you started out as a video app that would only let you film like the short 60-second video. And it became very important. It kind of preceded Vine. And Vine was shorter. Vine was like 15 seconds. Yeah.
Video clips
Yeah.
you can make.
Yeah. And then so it preceded Vine and became very, very popular. But if your child has TikTok, which is the last of the top on the top level, I would look and see who they're following, because the algorithm looks at who they're following and it begins to send them more videos that are closely related to who they're following and the content. Like somebody who's on TikTok, they may be, again, cooking, right? So they may be putting out cooking videos. And so if I'm following those people on TikTok, then I'm going to see a lot more cooking videos because that's the people who I'm following. If I'm following, teenage girls and, dancing, I'm going to get more content that way. And if I am someone who doesn't have good intentions, then I'm going to get a lot of that content, and then I'm going to be able to reach out to those people and send them Instagrams, send them private messaging. Kids nowadays, they do not see a private message they ever heard of before, and then continuing conversations with them. Just again, that cold calling. Hey, I saw your video. That was really cool. Something very harmless.
Boom, dopamine shot. And
Yep.
they're like, yep, this makes me feel good. Tell me more.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And that's how it starts.
yeah.
We talked about YouTube. I would definitely watch, especially if you have your own kids, YouTube and their videos. And then Be Real is the newest app that's on here. Be Real is an app that says one of its phrases is learn who your real friends are, or learn who your real friends are, something like that.
Yeah.
And basically you upload, you will have all your friends, and then at a certain time during the day, you will have 2 minutes. Everybody in your friend group has 2 minutes to upload a picture of what you're doing that day, so that you can see who your real friends are and what they really are like, right? It's the newest one.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
very
really
popular.
necessarily have anything negative right now because it's kind of new, but
There also aren't regulations.
there's
on what
no
you
regulations.
send, and
Yeah.
So it's similar to Snapchat, but yeah.
Yeah. Any questions online yet? Anybody have any questions online? All right,
Question regarding the YouTube kids. I mean, we are my experience. It's way before all of this.
Yeah,
came up.
totally. Yeah.
But I mean, YouTube Kids. Sometimes I have put it on for him because he
Yeah.
wants to watch iPad and I need to whatever do. And I've seen weird things in YouTube Kids. So do you have any information on that?
Because they're still using those tags. They're still using those tags and doing the best thing. So the question was, he has a child who she allows to watch YouTube Kids, but she's seen some questionable things on YouTube Kids. The videos on there are still tagged, and that is how YouTube filters those videos to be able to be appropriate for the kids.
But is there what is the restrictions for the kids? Because I've seen some things that I'm like,
Then turn it in. I mean, don't be afraid to send it.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it is still, you know, for lack of a better phrase, a crapshoot. Like, it is still kind of rolling the dice because there's still videos that will get through and leak through. And so even though YouTube Kids is, I agree, and I think is a much safer than the broader YouTube community, but there's still some things that can seep through.
And do they have privacy settings? Like, we make everything private, you know, family, like you have to really ask us to join us
Yeah.
with some things.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that too, just ways to kind of safeguard that as well.
Especially-
So we're getting to some of the most egregious apps. We're not there yet, so, you know, hold your horses, but
I don't know.
any of these look familiar to anybody?
Snapchat.
Snapchat,
I think I've heard of Yik Yak.
Yik Yak is one, that's the second one. The W is Whisper. Burn Note is the B. Burn Note is pretty bad. So Snapchat, what happens in Snapchat? So let's say Talia and I are on Snapchat. I can send Talia a snap. That could be a short video or a picture or whatever. And then once Talia opens it, it has about 10 seconds. And then after 10 seconds, Talia can't see it anymore. So kids believe that this is a very safe place where they can send something. And if they send something inappropriate or if they send because you can send like a screenshot, like a message or something. And so they send something that is bullying or mean. Once it's seen, quote unquote, it disappears and it's not there anymore. If you've seen any of the videos of kids who have gotten in trouble for racial incidences or, you know, being mean or bullying or any type of sexist stuff, if you've seen it in the news, 9 times out of 10, that's through Snapchat. What kids will do is they will screenshot those videos. They will take another phone and record it, right, from that video so that they will have it. And then they will send it out to other people and they will begin that bullying process. Snapchat is extremely egregious. There are apps within Snapchat. So if you're on Snapchat, you may not have seen any of these. Whisper is one of them. There's another one later on, where if you're on Snapchat, you have access to other apps that you probably never even knew of, probably never even heard of. And through Snapchat, you can get access to these apps. And then these apps are some of the most egregious apps that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I just
Yeah.
want to add to that. Yeah, you can access other apps and there's also like reels on Snapchat, like episodes of mini shows, and like there are no regulations on that. I recently discovered it. But I would say Snapchat is something that's really deeply affected our students here because like, you know, with the whole naked picture thing, right? Kind of like what Ashley said, they think they could like send it and it's gone in 10 seconds. Wrong. That, you know, has happened a few times. It's been screenshotted. It's been sent out. It's really deeply impacted students negatively that have been in that situation. You think about it, it's like, okay, middle school, you're like testing out the waters and seeing what's appropriate, what's not, taking risks, all these things. You're not thinking things fully through because again, this is a middle schooler and then they make a, you know, quick impulsive decision to do something like that. And then it could potentially have tremendous harm on them emotionally, socially, mentally. I've seen it go as far as, you know, people having to get major outside support because of the deep impact it's had on their self-esteem. So definitely something that you want to make sure, honestly. your kids
Snapchat and TikTok are the
doesn't.
Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram are the most popular apps
For
right now
sure.
for teenagers.
For sure.
Nowadays, when you were back in the day, we would come and if we see someone, we say, hey, what's your phone number? If we met someone, they don't say that now. What's your snap? They ask for their
Right.
snap.
It's so
They'll-
easy.
they'll
There's a
pass-
barcode, you go.
Yeah,
boom,
you just
scan
snap it.
anything,
They're
that's
not
it.
asking for phone numbers anymore. They're not asking for, what is your snap that you can connect socially? And then
Yeah.
through that social connection, that is where things, begin.
They can also, now that you say that, my son showed me, you can see the map for everybody that you know.
Yep.
Snap
You
it.
can
Yep.
see the map,
Yep.
that's so
And where they're
true.
located.
Yep, and there are a lot of spam accounts on Snap, so you'll literally just get like random people that add you, and then all it takes is someone to send a message, your kid to send me, hey, do I know you? And the person on the other end be like, yeah, you don't remember me, and then you don't know
Yeah.
what picture they're gonna send your kid.
And Snapchat does not work with the authorities when something goes.
They do not.
They don't,
On
yeah,
their website.
No.
And that's my biggest thing about Snapchat.
Well, it's like all of them.
Information, Snapchat will not.
Right, Snap Maps is like, it has its plus, right, because my kid, we can go to the hockey game, right, and they can find their kids who are also, their friends that are
And their
also at the
people.
hockey game, but then it's friends of a friend.
Yep.
Right, and then they're meeting up with
Yep.
someone who they've never met before,
Mhm.
right, which sometimes is okay if they know them through, synagogue or something like that, I feel more comfortable. But if it's just, oh, this is friends with someone, and they don't know them, that's where you have to be so.
Yep.
careful.
yep,
Right.
and with Snap Maps
And-
too, yeah,
yeah.
you're
It's
right,
the friends of a friends thing that
yep,
I always have to have the conversation with my kids who are 13 and 14, right? Like, yes, but. And then when I get the friend that they're friends with in the car with me, I'm like, well, how would you describe that other person?
right,
Oh, I've never really met them.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Or they're really kind, they had dinner with us, okay, now I can
Mhm.
trust them a little bit. More. But like,
Definitely,
and
yeah.
once I start pushing on my kids for that, they're like, oh, I can't really trust that friend of a friend.
Yeah.
yeah. And then just to add real quick, also on Snap Maps, you can go to different places, so you can literally like go to,
Yeah.
which has pros and cons, you can go somewhere like across the country and see like what's going on
Mhm.
there and things like that, and it could be educational, but then you could also go somewhere that like you have no business going to,
Mhm.
like, and then look at the story there and see what other people have posted. Not good.
Yeah. Whisper is the it's a social confessional app. Social confessional. So whispers are often sexual in nature. So people whisper, you will post your confessions or your desires or your wants or your needs. There's a lot of nudity and nudity on whisper. It can be extremely dark. People don't really, when you think about what you confess, you don't really confess sunshines and rainbows, right? Like you confess some pretty crazy stuff. Sometimes it's anonymous. It starts as anonymous, but then they can actually, with Whisper, you can request a meetup, and that is where we need to talk to our kids about. Like, you never meet up with someone that you don't know online, that you've never met, that you met online. And I think it's very important. I don't want to overstress that. Like, Atlanta is the hub for for sexual trafficking, right? There are people that fly into Hartsfield-Jackson Airport and they never leave the airport, and they get their deviant fixes in the airport. And a lot of those victims are coming from the surrounding area. And when our kids are meeting people who they've just met online, they're putting themselves at jeopardy for, to be trafficked and to be kidnapped, and to have a lot of other negative situations happen.
So I'm super naive about this, because my kids would not meet up with somebody like that, but if he's really doing this.
You are, with all due respect,
No, it's
you
fine.
are very naive, because if a student, so I debated to show this video, one, because of time, and two, because I didn't want to show it, but there's a video of a young woman, 13 years old. Her mom gave permission to her, because her mom said, my child would never do that. And this 30-year-old man pretended to be a 14-year-old kid and messaged her on TikTok and began talking to her. Within 3 conversations, said, hey, we should meet up, come to my house. And the daughter and the mom was well aware of this. And so they filmed it from her leaving her house, going over, and the person who opened the door was an older man, older than, the other person, and said, "Oh, Jimmy's upstairs,"
Yeah. Have
and
you ever watched the
so
show Catch a Predator?
Yeah.
and so walked up there, and luckily the mom was in the closet waiting for the daughter, and it didn't turn out bad. But she was also a person who said, "My child would never do that." And
Yeah.
I believe there's a lot of parents who don't have their kids right now who didn't think their child would do that. So with all due
Yeah,
respect,
yeah.
yes, because before we were telling our kids, do not talk to strangers. And again, with their brain, their frontal lobe is not going to be developed to 22, 23 years old, right? So impulse control and decision-making is impacted. So when they are online and they are conversing with someone online, after 2 or 3 conversations, they consider that person a friend, and they give that person all the benefits they would give a friend that they go to school with for 4 or 5 years. So all the benefits and all the value that they would have received from knowing that person from kindergarten to 5th grade, that person who's only talked to them online for 3 conversations now has that capital.
I think that's the most scary part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or kids say they don't use their real names, if they don't know the people in the boxes that they're in, they don't use their real names, they don't
Yeah.
get and give out personal information.
So Yik Yak is a free social networking. Yik Yak and Monkey Burn Note are kind of the same. Burn Note is let me see if I'm off. Where am I? Where's my notes? Yik Yak is anonymous. It is any and everything, pictures, text message, videos. Burn Note is very similar. It's a messaging app, and it sounds like what it is, right? Once you send it, it burns it, kind of like it disappears, right? So again, very much like Snapchat, where you can send something and then you can kind of throw the stone and hide your hand.
And which also, by the way, just like to add is that if your kid has like texting, they now have a feature where you can unsend messages. So you can send a message and then you can say like, something really mean. So this person sees it and then you unsend it and now they don't have proof because it's gone. Did you know that?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah,
It's
Yeah,
new. Yeah.
it's
So
new,
that's
yeah.
something to look out for too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the
mhm.
most, well,
Wait,
maybe like.
can you do it on the old phones? Like I know my new phone, the new.
Well, you can do it on Instagram too. You can
Yep.
send a message and unsend it on Instagram.
Yep.
So you can send it
Yeah,
and then have them
yeah.
read it and see it, and you can see when they've read it,
Yep.
and then you can unsend it.
Yeah, and Instagram, not like Snapchat, you do not get notified if there is a screenshot.
Yeah.
There is no notification about that.
On Instagram?
Yes,
The
there's none.
purpose, and I don't know this, the
Sure.
purpose of unsending it
Yes.
is to hide that you did it, or?
Well, I mean-
I mean, so
If we think about it, right, maybe if we like had a spelling error, like I've unsent something, if I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, and I put an asterisk, I was like, never mind, I meant to spell.
or I send it to the wrong group chat, right?
Right.
Like, oh,
100%. But if we're talking about, teens and people like that, or people that are doing, actively being a cyber bully and things like that, yeah, you can send a really mean message and then all you do is press unsend and it vanishes. So,
that you don't get caught,
so that
or-
you don't get, that could be some, yes, I mean, that could be one, thing. Yeah,
Yep,
exactly,
yep.
positive and negative. Yeah.
all right. So if you're not weirded out and upset yet,
Oh, no,
just
don't do the Omega. Don't do it.
no,
2008.
yeah. MySpace,
I know, AIM,
yeah.
instant messenger.
So so we talked about Snapchat and Instagram, TikTok. They are pretty bad. Let me ask everybody who's in Zoom and everybody here who's in person. Would there be any circumstance where you would go to a hotel and allow your child to be in a room with a complete stranger?
No,
Never. That is what Omegle is. It is a random video chat. So randomly, you get on Omegle and randomly Omegle pairs you with someone around the world.
Yep,
Uh, uh, Yep.
yep. Except video. And
Except it's video, it's video.
not to mention, there's a major trend on TikTok that's
Yep.
trending that shows people that hop on to
Omegle.
Omegle and they like screen record it and then upload it to TikTok because it's a trend. So people hop on the trend
So-
and go there.
So trend, so on
yeah.
TikTok, that's trending. So people see that,
Yeah,
oh, people are on, what's this Omegle thing?
yep.
Omegle is also in Snapchat.
It's been a
So
trend
if
for
you,
quite some
if you
time.
go in Snapchat, you can get Omegle and, it's a video, it's a random video,
Like
chat,
chat
that's-
room.
yeah, like
you ever
chat
think
room,
of a
basically.
chat, you get, all these random people.
like AOL chat, remember AOL
you go
chat
onto
room?
Omegle and it's like, you go on Omegle and then it's like match, it's like, 3, 2, 1, your match with someone random, you could press next and then you see someone else random, you could go next, see
Yeah.
someone else random and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna talk to this person, press next. It's like a wheel, like an
Yep.
ongoing, a lot of people do it. Because if you have, think about it. If you have low self-esteem, right? You have low self-esteem, or let's say you have social anxiety, things like that, and you can't be, you can't put yourself out there in person. So they might take the avenue of being like, well, I can't really talk to my peers in person because I'm not received well, but this stranger over here is saying how pretty I look and is saying that I'm so interesting to talk to. And now that's a boost to my self-esteem. Now you just gave me dopamine. Now I want more. So I'm going to go and press the arrow.
Doing it.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
TikTok's doing it and TikTok's cool. And so I want to be cool. And but
So I don't
Yeah.
think, so I don't think the question is who is doing it, because there are a lot of doing it, like, and again, these developers one, are adults who have been on this earth for 30, 40 years. They also have studied and have the experience to figure out how to create something that other people want and desire, and
Yeah.
how to get them hooked,
yeah,
right? So the fact is that they've created this and created it in a way that does
like
speak
learn,
to
yeah.
the dopamine
Mhm.
receptors,
Yeah.
right? And ask the students to continue, the kids to continue coming back for that dopamine hit.
Mhm.
It's happening all over. And even if
Yeah.
your child is not doing it yet, there's somebody your child knows that is,
Oh, yeah.
right? And more than that, there are other kids that you may or may not know that are also in this. That leads us to Meet Me.
Yep.
Meet Me is that's a smiley face. It shouldn't be smiley at all. It is a Meet Me is marketed as a teenage kind of dating app type of situation. You can get matched with a secret admirer. It has a large user base, and you are required to give your first and last name, your age, and your zip code, right? And so now people know. Now, let's say I'm on Meet Me, and I'm in this area, and the zip code here is 30324. Now I know that if I have nefarious, motives, I know that there's people here that I can prey on in the 30324 zip code right now. So
You
You
can
could-
also refine the Google search for the name.
and you can also, do the Google search for the name. I mean, kids may not necessarily be on, have a footprint yet, but depending on, we'll go to another page, 2 pages after this, but kids are giving up a lot of information. So you can then go to a school website and search the school website. And so I searched Talia, and Talia plays soccer. So I can go to the soccer team now and see what Talia looks like. So then if I say, hey, meet me at the mall, or meet me here, or meet me at Ponce City Market, I'm looking for Talia. I've already seen what she looks like, right? I already know, who she is visually, even though, she may not know what I really look like. I've given her a
Big,
14-year-old.
younger
face.
person, that would
Yeah.
be appealing to me.
Um,
And then it's like, well, I have low self-esteem. I'm gonna go and take this risk and meet this person, right? Because you think it's someone that it's not. That happens all the time. And it has been happening for years and years and years ever since, so.
Right.
So I won't talk about Scout as much. Scout is very much the same as Scout is the bullseye. It's very much like Meet Me. It's the same thing, a flirting app, flirting situation. Monkey used to be called Chat Roulette. It is very much like Omegle. Monkey and Omegle are very similar. And then Amino is a app that is you contact strangers is very much like the others. And then you have Yubo. Yubo is the app that is marketed as Tinder for kids,
Oh,
where
God.
you were Tinder for teens, where you will look at someone's face and you can swipe left or swipe right. You can approve or not approve. When you swipe right, if they swipe right as well, you get matched up. And then you get to be in this chat space with them. And they're giving out their information through there. So those are all the types of social media. Let's discuss, right? So let's discuss. We have a chat here. I am going to figure out how to, hold on. So, chat. What am I looking for? Why is it not showing me? Oh, here it is. The purple one. I'm sorry I missed this. The purple one, Whisper was the purple one on the self-destructing apps. And then this app on number 11, this purple one, is called Meet Me.
The yellow one, by the way? What's
The
one?
yellow one is Yubo, Y-U-B-O, Yubo. All right, so are we sharing screens? We are sharing screens. So start play from current slide.
Those apps all individual companies or they all?
They're all individual. Mhm.
So
I
they're not
think Facebook
regulated
owns
by-
Instagram, but other than that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what students are posting online. I know you can't see it. I can give you this information. I won't read it for you. I'm gonna go back. I'm sorry. 92% of teens are posting their real name. That's 92% of boys, 92% of girls, 89% of students 12 to 13, 93% of teens 14 to 17. I won't read it all to you, but what's important though, 71% of students are giving their school name and the city and town where they live. And then 20% are giving their phone number. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when we look at the demographics, how many they, yeah, it's a lot. 20% is a lot. So with this information, I want you to know that even when your child is on there, let's say they may not necessarily be on inappropriate content on social media, but when they are interacting with strangers, they are giving up information that they should not be giving up.
mhm,
So what can you do as a family, right? Engage your child, start really young, talk about internet use and social use. We talk about that here at MIS when we
Yeah.
give them their devices.
yeah,
We talk about that. They have to sign the technology agreement. When they violate something along those lines, here at MIS, they cannot delete their browser history at all. They cannot download any extensions or any other things from the Google store or the App Store. The younger kids don't even have emails, or they can't send emails, do that. So we have put some things in place. We use Securely as one of our software that we use. Securely does a couple of things. It will filter and it will filter keywords for us and make sure that those keywords and the websites are blocked. It also will filter phrases that are deemed appropriate in reference to violence, gun-related, pornography, and self-harm. So an acronym for suicide is KMS, kill myself, right? So they could send an email if they have email. So the older kids have email, and they can send an email saying OMG KMS to another student. That will alert us that there's something happening, and then we will then be able to go and figure that out, what's going to happen.
Our Wi-Fi at home
Yep.
as well.
It is. Yep. So talk to other parents, other teachers, other counselors, validate your team's reality and their need to be connected. We are in a digital age, you know, this is not how we grew up, and we just got to face it and understand that this is not how we grew up. And we have to understand that this is how our students are growing up and validate that, right? This is their experience. This is their reality. And how do they interact in the reality where all their peers are interacting, but in a safe way? I'll tell you my personal experience. My son, he just went to the Air Force. He just left on Monday to go to the Air Force. But he's 20. He did not get a cell phone until January of his freshman year. That is when I gave him a cell phone. We put restrictions on there. We set strict boundaries around apps, around time, around content, and we held to that. So this is kind of funny, but he had it in January, and by April, I had taken it away from him for good because he had a lot of chances not to violate. His mom and I don't co-parent very well, so she bought him another phone. But had he been only with me, he would not have had a cell phone for a long time because he did violate those things. So engage them in drafting the rules as well. Come up with the rules together as a family, and talk about why we need these rules. And if a child is saying, I don't think that's fair, that's too much, like, what's a compromise? What's a realistic compromise to this rule to make sure that kids are safe? I would say model the appropriate technology as well. At MIS, if your child travels with me internationally, every child that travels with me starting in 6th grade to high school, one of the rules is you do not have your cell phone out at a meal time. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. No at all. If I see it, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, if you're eating with me or not, I take it up and you do not get it back until we get to the airport and I give it to your parents. No questions asked. I tell the parents that as well. We are talking about modeling behavior, mealtime and social time. We should be having conversations with each other. We should be learning about each other, talking about our day,
being
culture.
present,
Right.
everything.
And
Yeah,
so,
I've seen it
just
firsthand.
modeling those type of behaviors.
Absolutely.
And then let your teen know that you will check their laptop, you will check their cell phone. Let
Yep.
them know, what apps are appropriate, what are okay, and what are not, and why. That you will follow them. I encourage you to follow your child if they're on social media. Follow them on every app that they're on, and make it a village mentality. So find people who you trust. So let's say Talia and we both have kids. I'm like, Talia, I'm following your 2 kids on Instagram. You follow my 2 kids on Instagram. You may see something because of the algorithm that I may not see. You may see that somebody posted something on there, on their site or whatever. I may see somebody posted something on theirs, so that you have trusted people that are also looking out for your children
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
There's an army of people
Yeah.
that are trying to manipulate and assault our children. We have to create an army to protect them, right? And then talk to them about that you need to have their passwords as well. Like, I need your password. If you're gonna have this, you can't change. That was one of the things my son did. He changed his password. Not good, not cool. You're trying to be secretive. You're trying to circumvent the rules. It's mine now, right? We don't do that. And then talk to them about online privacy and what their responsibilities are about being online, communicating only with people that they personally know, right? Making sure that they are not giving out information that you said they should not give out. Not engaging in cyberbullying. And if they see that, being an upstander instead of a bystander. Upstander meaning you are standing up for someone. You are saying this is not cool. This is not right. You should not say these things, right? That is what we talk about when Talia goes into the classes and does her lessons starting in kindergarten, 8th grade, talks about being an upstander, talking about, we are
Boundaries,
part of our
yeah.
community, and part of a community means everybody has a job. So
Yeah.
as a head of school, my job is to make sure everybody's safe,
Absolutely.
overall. The counselors and the teachers are the direct line of safety with that. And then the kids have a responsibility as well. When they see something, they should say something, because we want to make sure our community is a safe community.
Absolutely.
Let's see, hope I'm not going too fast. These are some things that you should be aware of, just some acronyms that kids have that they're using. Yeah, I know, you're supposed to, because I'm here with you. That's how you look at it. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. And for real, it has been, yep. And then, just some helpful apps for you guys to use to monitor. Um, I said we do securely here. If you have an iPhone, screen time is very, very good. Screen time, you can dictate how much time of a day that they can be on. You can create the windows that they can be on. You can block certain apps. You can say my child cannot be on any apps except for these apps, or my child cannot be on any website except for these websites. Or you can block by category as well, like parental control, say we're gonna block out pornography, we're gonna block out this. And like Arona said, you can also block out, you can decide if they can download apps or not. Like you can make them have to go through you to get a password to download an app from the app store, even on their own phone. So screen time is really good. A lot of parents use Life 360. Life 360 allows us to see where our kids are. It's a location tracker. I know a lot of parents who have freshmen in college, they've used it all in high school, but they also use it in college for their, I tell them, give them some break, but a lot of partying is happening and they want to know where they are, especially in the middle of the night and that kind of thing.
Any of these, will they alert you if they've tried to go on a site that's been banned just
Yep.
as a trend?
Yep. So if you, so I don't know if screen time will alert you, but like securely, Custodio will alert you. Like if they try to go on your app, it'll say, when I say alert, it may not be a direct like bing, 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 but it'll maybe send you an email or within your profile say that they went on this app when they weren't supposed to. Family Link is the equivalent of screen time on Android. Thank you so much, Linda. So if you have an Android, Family Link is that equivalent. Bark is also one that is that is used a lot to control apps and screen time and those type of things. Here are some references for you guys, and we will. Any questions? I know this was a lot. We hope that it was informative and helpful. Again, I am uniquely positioned because I've been here for a long time. And so I know a lot of our students, especially a lot of our older students. And so when I am interacting with them and I am on a trip with them, or we're doing some sort of activity, whatever, I hear a lot of the conversations and I hear apps that are going on, and I hear some trends and I hear those things. And so Talia hears the same thing in her office when she is discussing, some issues with students and why they feel the way they do and what happened. And so we are uniquely qualified to kind of have these conversations because of our closeness with our students. And so that is why we wanted to have this. It is very difficult. If we block one site, there are 20 other sites that come up, but we don't want to just cut them off. One of my mentors told me when I first got into education, like kids are like kites, right? At first, that kite is really close to you before you let it out. And, at Piedmont Park, there's no trees. And at some point, they're really high in the sky and they're having a really good time and they're free to explore and to fly and to be independent. But then at some point, the wind gets really, really strong and begins to tatter and move them around and take them places we don't want them. So we have to bring that kite in a little bit, get some stability again, talk about some boundaries, re-educate about our family rules, and then reassess to make sure that they understand who we are as a family, what our moral standards are, and then we can let them out again. So we don't want to just cut them off completely, but we want to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful and be safe. So that's why we want to do this. So any questions before we wrap up? Yeah.
Don't allow this, prevent this, look out for this. But I'm sort of at the point where my kids are going from kids to teenagers and wanting more freedom. And what kinds of maturity level would you look for to say, okay, now you can, post on like my older son, he's allowed to look at TikTok, but he's not allowed to post on TikTok, right? So like what kinds of things do you think a kid needs to understand, or before you allow them on something that has a chat or something, what lets you know that they're sort of ready to take another
So the
step?
question was, what lets you know when the child is ready to take this step for social media?
Yeah, I would say like being on the same page with your kid. Is what you're saying, all of the, things you're sharing, the things you're concerned about, the things that you want them to look out for, the things that they feel comfortable reporting, all those things, you want to make sure that's comprehended. If you guys are on the same page and you have that rapport, I feel like that's a really great start and a great foundation for them to show maturity, because they're showing understanding and, they feel you are a safe person to like report to, and you feel safe enough to confront, things like that. I feel like that's a pretty good baseline.
And I would say, I would go back also to the Surgeon General's recommendation.
Yeah.
Understanding, so we can talk about a couple of things. COVID did a tremendous, deal on a lot of our kids, right? Them not being in person, the virtual learning, the isolation, all that impacted a lot of our kids. And in every school every person I talk to that is in a school setting that has students in ages and grades 8, 9, or 10, they are having a lot of issues with those students in terms of their social emotional health, in terms of their self-worth.
Yeah.
Like that is and I don't know anecdotally about younger kids, but I would say in that age where they're still trying to find themselves, that middle school age, where they're trying to figure out who they are, middle school has been hard for everybody since the beginning of time, right? And it's going to always be hard because they're trying to figure themselves out. And
Yeah,
then
for
humans
sure.
have thrown in social media into that
Yeah.
stew and said, hey, deal with this as well, right? And they can't. So I would wait until at least 13 or 14 for
Yeah.
social media. And then again, at that point, I would put boundaries like you have done. You can follow these people. I have to follow them as well, right? I need to know who you're following and what content that you're trying to see. You can't have, the thing about TikTok, Instagram is that, if you go to Reels, if you go to, like, you will get Reels from random people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like secrets.
Yeah,
See, like
Scroll
that's
through the
also,
recommended, I'm
right.
that's also a good move.
Yeah,
You know,
just being
so-
abreast. Like if you
Yeah.
have that and they understand that your job is to make sure you keep them safe and you're
Yeah.
not being, invasive, and they, parents and children relationships through time, like it's this adversarial thing at times and it's loving
Yeah.
at times. But if they understand, hey, I love you, this is what we're doing to
Yep.
make sure we keep you safe.
Mhm.
Like Tally said, is a great start.
I agree. Yep.
I also think, at least for me, their impulse control, if your child is really impulsive, don't let them do those things, because they will make a major mistake out there.
So
And it's a lot.
there's a question in the chat about, does MIS have a policy on Chat GPT yet? We have not created a policy on Chat GPT yet, so that's something.
What is chat?
It's an AI language site that can do a lot of, it can create content, write papers, write essays, write paragraphs, talk to you. Like, we don't have a policy yet. So we will be thinking about, what our stance is on Chat GPT, but we haven't discussed that just yet, Will. Any other questions?
This was really good. So
No.
thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, for
Thank you. We
sure.
appreciate you guys for
Yeah.
coming, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you see it at school, will you contact us as
Yes.
parents? If
Yes.
something's
Yes.
going on
Yeah.
that you see that is, somewhat
Yes.
of a red flag or on the minor before it becomes major.
So
Yes.
even at school, like, if they are in fourth has
Fourth.
iPads,
Fourth.
has
Yep.
iPads. 5th through 8th grade, they have a Chromebook, which means they only have access to the Chrome browser, which means that they are very, very restricted on.
Totally.
None of the kids can get on social media on their devices. That is all blocked through securely. There are different categories. One of them is social media. They can't get on that right on their phones. But a lot of these apps you can get on. So let's just say you have blocked social media on your phone for your child, right? And they have a school device that has not blocked that, then they can get on TikTok and they can get on Instagram, and they can get on Snapchat on the computer,
Right.
right? Without getting, and vice versa, right? But there's no social media that is, social media is blocked as a category on all devices as well. So we're trying to do as much as we can here at the school. And when their devices goes home, it is also blocked at home, right? So you have to worry about that. I would suggest also looking through like your router. Sometimes routers have, your routers have settings that you can block certain things, or you can restrict times that they're on the router on your Wi-Fi at home. You can restrict keywords on your router as well. Some of your more recent, up to date. That's just Wi-Fi, not their data on their phone, right? But if they have like an iPad or something, or a device or something like that, yeah. So, thank you all. We appreciate you all coming. This was
Thank you, guys.
amazing.
Yeah.
We hope you guys have a great day, and the sky is not falling, but we're grabbing an umbrella because something's
Some
happening.
clouds be dropping.
Thank you so much.
guys.
Thank you.
Somewhere.
Thank you so much to
Yeah.
you guys for coming in person, virtually. We really appreciate you guys. Are there any questions, anybody virtually? Not at all? Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys next time. Look out, next time, our next parent seminar will be on problem-based learning. So we're going to talk about problem-based learning and what that means in school, and why and how problem-based learning looks different than your traditional schooling, and what to expect coming home, and why what comes home looks different than how it looked when you were in school, and why that is. So we will talk about problem-based learning this month, and well, next month in March. So we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.